Gerald slipped and get the bars in here. Rodriguez again. It's a stunning volley.
Hello there, folks. Welcome back. It's For The Fans. It's April still, and we're back. A little bit later in the week this week, but it's me, Ben. And as ever, I'm joined by Jack and Callum. Jack, how are you?
I'm not too bad. It feels a little bit weird recording on a Friday, but we're here. Ranieri said that Leicester are going to win the title, so it's time to turn over a new leaf. Well, I don't think he said that they can do it now. Like, you know, for ages he's been saying, "Oh, it's Champions League we're going for." Well, now he's like, "Yeah, they're champion."
4 points in 4 games. I think he kind of has to, or 5 points in 4 games, whatever it is. He has to kind of say that now. And Callum's here. How you doing, Keno?
There's been so much football this week. That's why we're late, really.
There's been arguably too much football.
I think, yeah.
I don't like it. Like, Match of the Day can't even keep up. So how are we meant to do it? We don't have the budget.
I did have the budget. I actually bought. I mean, off topic a bit. I bought Now TV for a month because it's worth it.
To be fair, yeah, this is probably a good month to get it.
You get like 30 matches.
I mean, I could have given you my 3 months trial that I got with my
unbelievable.
Chromecast.
Tells me now.
Actually, I think it's 3 months. I mean, I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, thanks very much. Okay then, as ever, we're going to be back with the feature this week, and this week is going to test you boys, and it's a head-to-head battle.
1 point.
Did you get a comment about the feature, Ben? Did you get a comment about the feature?
Yeah, I'll read it afterwards. I mean, I got an apology essentially. MGS Cass was back. He's like, you know what? Yeah, sorry I slagged off the feature. Said he felt like a celebrity because we mentioned him. So
I feel like he's going to leave a comment every week till we don't read it anymore. Like it's going to become a little to and fro between you and him and the comments and the
I'll
podcast.
always be there. MGS Cass, I hope everything's well with the family. Right, let's move on then. This week's feature is in regards to the journeymen of Premier League bygones by. Now, the way we're going to do this, gentlemen, is that one of you is going to go and you're going to say how many teams you think you can name for a player, like how many teams he's played for. Sorry, spit it out, Ben. How many teams a certain player has played for example. So if you were going to say Daniel Sturridge, Jack would say, I reckon I could name 3, and he would say Manchester City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, and he'd get the point for that. Now, if one of you, if the other person thinks they can name more, if the other person thinks they can name more, they get the chance. If they go, no, I'll let you go for it. If you think you can name that many, you name that many. Okay, and it goes back and forth. So, for example, Jack, with Daniel Sturridge, you could say, I reckon I could name 1 club, and Keno would come in and go, do you know what, actually, I think I can name 2 clubs. And then however many it is, that's how many points you're going to get this week.
I see.
So it's pretty, edge of the seat stuff this week, folks. So, who would like to go first? We'll pick it up as we go along. We'll figure it out. Who would like to go first?
You go first, Jack. Lead off.
I mean, how kind of you.
So, Jack, you're going to tell me how many clubs can you name that Peter Crouch has played for?
Any clubs or Premier League clubs?
Any clubs. Any football clubs.
I'll say
at a professional level.
I want to say 4, but I think there might be 5.
Okay, well you can say 4. You can say 4. Keno, do you think you can name 5?
And
obviously you get the points, but if you don't think Jack can name 4, then give it up.
I can name 5.
Chip in. 5, Jack.
I could probably maybe get 6. I think I could get 6.
Oh, hold
I'll say 6 then. I'm quite confident, actually.
Okay,
the more I thought about
could you name 7? There might not necessarily be 7.
This is like a bidding war. No, I don't think I can.
Yeah, it is. You don't think you can name 7? So, Jack, for 6 points,
right,
away you go. Any incorrect answers, and you forfeit the points. And Keno doesn't get any of the points. But
I'm going to start with the ones that I know as a certainty. So. He was on loan from to Norwich from Villa. So he's played for both Norwich and Villa. He then moved to Southampton.
2 points.
And then Liverpool bought him. Who did Liverpool sell him? Because he went to Spurs because he started his career there.
Come on.
Did he play for Pompey in between? I'll go with Pompey. I think he played for Pompey in between. I'm 90% sure on that. And then obviously he went to Spurs, and then he went to Stoke. Is that 6? Or do we?
That's 7, but you only said 6, so you get the 6 points.
Okay. Oh, was that all right?
But that's more. Yeah, 6. Yeah, we're all correct. You could have also had Queens Park Rangers, Dulwich Hamlet, or IFK Hasselholm.
Well, I'm glad I didn't say any more than 7 because that would have been fucked.
But you got 6 explicit. You got 6 points though.
Right, 6 more points than last week.
Keno, it's your go. I know. Your go, Keno. How many clubs can you name that Scott Parker has played for?
Do you want me to? So you want a number, or do you want me to just tell you?
Yeah, but obviously, if you think you can go for a lot of numbers, how many clubs do you think Scott Parker can play for? And if Jack thinks he can name more, you can come in there.
Let me just sort of have a.
What a battle this is, folks!
I'm remembering who he first played for. I think.
What a battle!
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the Scott Dan. That'd be the wrong. But Scott Parker career, and I feel like.
I've got 4.
He's always played in England.
4 so far.
4. Okay, well, are you going with 4? And then give a chance maybe to say 5? So you don't have to say the one number up, by the way. You can go far more if you think you can name more. You got to give me a number, Keno. Give me a number. How many?
I think 4. I'll have to.
Just give me. Okay, 4.
Oh,
Jack?
I reckon I can name 5. Maybe 6.
Keno. Well, no, boys, the point is you have to just say a number.
Okay, I'll say 5 because I don't think Keno can name 6, so I'll say 5.
5. Okay, you can start at like 1, by the way, and if they go, well, I can't even name 1, etc. Okay, so Jack, back to you, Jack.
Fulham, which obviously
5 points
is now
on offer.
Hold on a second.
Keno, you've bottled it. You've backed out
but
it.
Okay.
All right, if he gets it wrong, you get the point.
Well, you can just say any high number and then name as many as you can, and then you get the point.
But if you can't, you've got to get that number.
Okay, no, I can name 10, and then I can sort of say get 8.
Well,
right.
yeah, but if you don't name 10, you don't get any points.
Okay.
Can I show no game? Can I go now? 5, right?
5. Fulham.
Right, Fulham, Tottenham, West Ham.
Tottenham.
He started his career at Charlton.
That was the one.
I think he went on loan to Norwich like years ago. And the only reason I remember this is because I feel like I remember him playing for Norwich because that's half my family's team.
Jack, that's 5, Jack, so you get the points.
I feel like I could name one more, actually.
Okay, you don't get the points because you said 5.
Okay, well...
He played for 2 more. He played for Chelsea and Newcastle.
Yeah, Chelsea was one I was going to say. Yeah. That was quite a big transfer
for Newcastle.
Time.
Right. Jack, back to you. Okay. Well, it's not really back to anyone. It's just sort of next player and see who you can name.
Yeah.
Jack, your next player is... Oh, we've got a few options here. I think we're going to go with Craig Bellamy.
Oh,
how many clubs? Okay, again, you can start at 1. Just feel free to start at 1.
I'll say 4.
So, 4. Keno, can you name more than 4 clubs Craig Bellamy's played for? The tension. You can feel the tension as Keno thinks about this.
Yes, 5.
Okay, 5, Jack.
Oh, I think I can name 5 as well now. I thought about it more. Do I want to say... I'll say 6. I reckon I could do 6, actually.
6? Keno, do you fancy 7?
No, I don't.
No, he's going 6 then.
Okay.
For 6 points and an incredible lead if he gets this.
Well, hang on. I said I can name 6.
What?
I could probably name 6 clubs.
You said 5 and then I said...
So I have to raise Jack.
Yeah, you can't now change your mind.
Oh, this.
You can. By the way, when Jack says 4, you can come in at 6. You don't have to go straight to 5.
I think this is a silly feature.
Well, I think I'm going to win it.
Jack, Craig Bellamy, 6 teams.
I'm a bit nervous about this, actually. City...
If you get it wrong, Keno gets the point.
City Newcastle.
Correct.
Liverpool.
Correct.
Cardiff.
Correct.
There was one more that I had fresh in my mind. Okay,
I mean,
which ones have I said? Sorry. Norwich.
Newcastle, Liverpool, City, Cardiff. Norwich, correct.
This is the one that part of me feels like he did play for them, but then I'm doubting it more the more I think about it.
If you get it wrong, Keno gets the points.
Oh, this could be a mistake. Blackburn Rovers.
The points go to Jack. 6 is correct.
Let's go.
Could have had Coventry, Celtic and West Ham in there. Yeah, that's true. Right. Next player, Kino, Robbie Keane. How many clubs do you reckon you can name for Robbie Keane?
10.
10.
No, I don't.
You can go for 10 then.
I mean,
yeah, you've said 10. Good luck.
You're gonna struggle.
This is a bit where he's played for 9 or something. I mean, you've got to name 10, Callum.
5 I could do.
Okay, go 5 then. Right, we'll ignore the 10.
Wait,
Five.
whoa.
We'll ignore the 10. We're ignoring the 10.
I'm
Jack,
wondering if
you
I
name
can
more than
name
10? And more than 5.
Jack types away.
Could I? No, I think I've got 4. So
Okay, well that's. I mean.
No, I'm gonna have to give it to Callum.
All right, Kino. 5 teams that Robbie Keane has played for 5 points.
Okay. Inter Milan.
Point.
Wolves.
Point.
Villa. Spurs.
Correct.
Liverpool.
Yeah. Correct. Easy.
LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
LA Galaxy. Could have had West Ham, Celtic,
Proper
Leeds
clubs.
United, of course.
Proper clubs.
Coventry.
He did get around, didn't he? Right, Slag.
Yeah.
So 5 points to Kino. We've got a few left to go. Right. Nicholas Anelka.
Oh.
Jack, how many clubs do you think you can name that Nicholas Anelka has played for?
I'm going to start conservative and say 4.
4. Kino, can you name more than 4? Again, if you can name 6 or 7 or 8, then you could jump in there.
How many did Jack say, sorry? Just so
4.
I think I could probably do 5.
5, okay. Jack, could you name 6 or more?
I'm trying to think of who he played for in China, and if I can get the team, then I'm quite confident.
Okay. You got 5 seconds to think about it.
Can I say 5? I'll say 6.
Kino, could you do 7 or more?
I'm not sure. So I have to sort of count through in my head the ones that I think I know.
I think if I were doing it, I think I could get 8. I'm just saying.
The more I think about it, the more that I'll pop into my mind, because there's some really obvious ones there and some really weird ones. Like, he's played for a diverse selection of clubs the more I think about it.
Yeah. I reckon I could do 8.
Is he playing in India at the moment as a manager or something? Or have I dreamt that?
Possibly reveal.
I think he is.
Reveal if that was true or false.
I think 7 I can probably get.
7, Jack. Could he do 8?
I'm going to say 8.
He's saying 8. If he gets it wrong, Kino, you get 8 points, mate.
I was going to say
Okay.
I quite like these points.
Okay.
Unless you want to go for 9, Kino.
No, I don't.
He's giving you 8, Jack.
I mean,
8 clubs.
I think
that
Based
Nicholas
off your
Anelka's played
reaction,
for.
I think I know who he's managing in India as well. Based off your reaction, meaning that I think I'm right. Is he Mumbai? I think it's Mumbai.
Can I tell you now? Okay, I'll tell you now, Jack. He's retired. So
But
it was interesting you said that. But I think he has a role to play at Mumbai City, so I'll give you that.
Okay, West Brom he was at for a little while because that was right controversial.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to rewind back to the start of his career because he played for Arsenal. But I don't know if he started his career at Arsenal. I feel like he played for a French club, but I'm not sure.
Again, if you get one wrong, this is risky.
Okay, I'm going to go with the ones I'm certain with. He played for Liverpool and City as well.
Yeah, that's 5.
Chelsea.
6.
One of the weird ones that popped in my head after a while, Bolton. No idea why he
7.
went to Bolton. And then Chinese club, Shanghai Shenhua. That might not be how you pronounce it, but that's the club name that he played for when he got bought into China.
It's unbelievable. He's
Let's
got 8
go.
points. Can you name any others?
The French club I was thinking of was Marseille, but I don't think it is Marseille.
That would have been a risk not worth taking.
Okay.
But you get 8 points. The others were Real
The thing
Madrid,
is, he's played for some
Fenerbahce,
really big
Juventus.
teams. I feel like there's more that I can't think of. I feel like I remember him playing for obscure teams.
Should we do one more? I mean, you can't win, mate. Doesn't matter how many more we do. He's got so many points.
Ben's
I
now
don't know,
muted his
sorry.
mic and headset, so I assume we've had an interruption.
You know?
I'm suspicious of you, Jack
Kino?
Peachman.
Hello?
Hello?
Everything okay?
I thought
I mean, you muted your mic, so I assume there'd been some kind of...
Yeah, I did that. I did that by accident because number 8 is my mute thing, and I pressed it when I give you the points.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see.
I see.
Well, that's going to be confusing for the listeners, isn't it? I mean, do we edit that out? Do we leave it in as a bit of a Easter egg? I say an Easter egg. It's not really hidden,
I think
is
it just
it?
highlights that in a, unprofessional.
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, what goes on behind the scenes?
I forgot I'd done it. Apologies to all. Shall we just carry on?
Yeah. I'm liking this feature this week.
What has happened is a shambles. Right, Keno, the situation is you probably can't win, mate. But we're going to do one more player who's played for a fair amount of clubs, okay?
Okay, all right.
That player is Jermaine Pennant. How many clubs do you think you can name that Jermaine Pennant has played for? One of the best right foots in world football.
I'm just sort of
Said he.
Going through my...
I don't think I can name that many for Jermaine Pennant. I feel like it's too much of an unknown quantity.
I reckon about 6 I can do. 6.
Okay. Jack, can you do 7?
No, I can't. So
Okay.
I'll let him take 6 because I know he can't win with that amount. So
No, you
I'm
can't.
playing for
6
pride
points,
here, though.
Keno.
Like,
for pride. I mean, you got 5
I mean,
points.
I didn't win any pride last week.
Yeah.
No, so I feel
Right,
like
Keno,
I'm the
can you
net
name
winner
6?
of these last 2.
In fact, we'll give Keno the opportunity because Jack's forfeited. As many as you can have as many points as he's played for.
All right, okay. So, he started at Arsenal, didn't he? That was his first club.
I mean, he didn't, but you get a point.
Or whatever. Yeah, he was there early. Obviously, he played for the Blues because that was when he had that funny tag on his ankle, and
yeah, good point.
Obviously, Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you say 7 by the way?
Yeah.
Or 6? Okay.
So how many am I on at the moment?
3. Arsenal, Birmingham, Liverpool.
Then Stoke. Yes.
Yep.
He was at Wolves for a little bit. So
Yep.
that is 5 I'm on. Yeah.
Did get around the Midlands, didn't
he's
he?
at Wigan at the moment, or was recently.
Another point.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 there.
And now I need my 7th. Was he at Leeds for a little bit?
I'll give you the point.
Yeah.
And he was at 4
I think
more.
I'm done. He went somewhere he's been overseas on some weird one, I think. So
He did. He went to Spain.
something like maybe that's. I'm thinking still.
Fenerbahce.
Still thinking of Anelka.
Premier League
With
podcast.
Nicola-
Premier League
Nicolas
podcast.
But no, yeah, I'm done.
Notts County, Watford, Portsmouth, and Rail
Portsmouth,
Zaragoza.
of course.
Was
Yeah, he was there at Portsmouth.
was the Spanish team. Right then, this week then, Jack wins with a massive 25 points to Keno's 11.
That's more than I've got the rest of the season combined. So
this week's feature of the week. I mean,
I do feel like I benefited.
Of it.
I do feel like I benefit from a lot of the players having played for Norwich.
I'm with the guy who wrote in 2 weeks ago about the feature this week, actually.
Right, Jack. Last week's feature.
Yeah.
We've just had some clarification that the results have been reversed, and you actually won last week's feature. So you're on a streak. You're on a streak.
Let's
go.
go.
Keno's comments just now. You're on a streak.
Fantastic
2 features in a row.
feature.
Well done to you. Right, shall we talk about some football, boys? Are you in for that?
I'm excited to talk about some football.
I guess we should do that.
Now, because of the way the football the calendar has worked out in the recent weeks, what we're going to do is chronologically go back on what we think the best 5 or 6 games were over the last sort of week and a half period, as we're recording on a Friday. And we're going to kick things off with the 3-0 win by Sam Allardyce's Sunderland over Norwich, which puts them in a position of peril, Jack, and it's not looking good.
Yeah, I hate to say it, Norwich. I've been worried about you, and you've gone off to a good start with this tricky run against Newcastle, but the last 2 games, there's just been nothing there. Absolutely nothing there. I mean, to be fair to them, in this Sunderland game, until the penalty, which I think was the right decision by the referee, although it may have seemed contentious in real time, Norwich had chances in this game to go ahead early on. They bossed the game early on. They had something like 65% possession after the first 15 minutes. And it's actually been a theme of Norwich's play, is the fact they do have these weird spells of dominance, but they never really seem to convert goals from it. They'll just kind of retain the ball nicely, and there's no real catalyst in the midfield to create an end product, never mind anyone to actually finish it. And ultimately, in this game, Sunderland withstood the kind of early test, and then they got that penalty, and they kind of just built off that, and, well, the third goal went in. I think it was Watmore with with just Norwich just committing men mindlessly forward, because obviously for them, whilst the draw would have been a good result, really they were looking for the win against Sunderland here at home.
The draw wasn't really a helpful result for either team, to be honest, because
I feel like it was perhaps a result for Sunderland where they'd rather draw than like go for the win and end up losing. Like you wouldn't. If it would have been a draw with 10 minutes left, Sunderland would have been desperate to get a goal thrown men needlessly forward.
Yeah, probably.
So I actually think with that game in hand, whereas Norwich, I feel like, because Sunderland have that game in hand, are breathing down their necks a little bit. Like they would have felt a little bit more, forced into trying to go for it. Of course, this is all kind of what ifs and buts, because ultimately Sunderland just ran out so comfortably in the end.
Yeah.
Well, Norwich missed Tim Close, who obviously missed the game through injury, and there's question marks on whether he'll be fit for the rest of the season.
He had been a very important player for them, because there was a period, Christmas time, when Norwich were shipping goals left, right, and centre, and he had sort of helped solidify that defence in the last month or two, 6 weeks.
They went on a small run. I think they played okay against Swansea despite losing, and then a draw against City, beat West Brom, and obviously beat Newcastle. And I think with him at the back, they looked. I wouldn't say they looked a different side altogether, but they certainly looked more confident in their defensive capabilities.
Definitely.
And without him, Basong had a poor game, I thought. Basong wasn't good at all.
I'm not Basong's biggest fan.
He looked very lethargical, didn't he?
Well, he's the kind of player that in that Norwich team, they're not blessed with a lot of Premier League experience. Even now, I know some of those players went down with Norwich last time, but Basong is the player that's been around the Premier League. He's played for a few different clubs, and I think Norwich fans expect more, and they're not getting it from most of their squad. But as I've said on Twitter recently, and me and Jack spoke about this just before we started recording, that Norwich's key issue is that every single game they look like a really good Championship team, which, I mean, traditionally, Championship teams, if they play FA Cup against Premier League teams, sometimes they get a result. More often than not, they're struggling and having to hope their key players do something. Now, interestingly, Norwich don't have a great deal of key players, Jack, and we came on to Wes Hoolahan that we think, while he's a very good Championship player, there is a reason that he got into the Championship, or the Football League Team of the Decade. Was it Team of the Decade?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I kind of made this point at the start of the year, and he went on to get like a few goals and a few assists at the start of the year. I feel like Norwich post this is his time. He might be 34, but he has signed this new contract. He's been here with us before. This time, though, he's going to produce the goods, and ultimately, he's fizzled out. I did think Alex Neil maybe got it a little bit wrong as they started to chase the game. I felt perhaps the second goal for Sunderland was a little bit fortunate, really, for Sunderland. There were a few contentious decisions in this game, but particularly the second goal. Basong, we mentioned he didn't have a good game. He was fouled in the build-up to that goal. And I feel like there was a growing sense as the game went on, and especially after the penalty decision as well in the first half, where Norwich City players were throwing themselves to the ground at every little thing, and there was this sense of injustice, which I don't think actually particularly helped the players on the pitch in terms of the way they approached it. I felt like they'd been cheated out of it in a way, and there wasn't that hunger. It wasn't like they were being outplayed on the pitch necessarily. It's very easy when you face controversy on the pitch, and it's that kind of moment. What's the word I'm looking for? That moment where it's like do or die. It's very easy just to blame it on something else, and I don't know. It was a weird performance I felt by Norwich as the game went on.
It looked like they made themselves the victim of circumstance, and actually the circumstance was created by themselves. It was the penalty that Andre Wisdom, wasn't it? He was obviously on loan from Liverpool. Yeah. Gave away the penalty, and actually it was a fantastic. I think it was Andre. It was
an excellent decision because it was.
It's a great decision. First time I thought it was definitely I thought it was a clean tackle. You see it again.
It's a very bad shot. You could get a booking for that easily in an absolute instant. Anyway, as they say, if it's anywhere else on the pitch,
On the flip side, then Callum, Sunderland.
Well, that's what I was.
Big Sam went there with a plan, and it came.
I was trying to jump in to give Sunderland a bit of credit while Jack was slagging off Norwich because
I was going to give Norwich. I was going to give Jack Norwich and you Sunderland.
Because I thought that Sunderland actually got the fruit of their labour for the first time in a few weeks, because I actually think they've been playing okay recently, and Allardyce has slowly managed to change to make the team a lot more efficient, basically, and obviously when he took over, and for maybe the first 3 months after that, they were still reeling from that catastrophic period of Advocat and Di Canio, etc. And I think he's actually given them a lot of stability, and they've picked up a lot, as Sunderland tend to do, in the last couple of weeks, and I thought that while, as Jack said, I think Norwich handed it to them a little bit of a poor performance. They deserve to win on balance in that game. And I think it's the result that they have deserved for their sort of recent performances.
I do think a big difference between these two teams, and it might even be the difference between which team goes up and which team stays down, is, well, Jermaine Defoe. I thought he was outstanding in this game. I think he's into double-figure goals now for Sunderland. If not,
and it should be said,
he's getting close to that.
It should be said as well, I mean, we know that Defoe will always score goals, and he's been excellent really all season. As you say, I think he's into double figures. He's probably closer to 15 now.
He's got 16
yeah,
in
I thought
all
he
comps,
had,
I think.
16 in all comps. And
I feel like I made a statement at the start of the year where I said if he got like 15 goals, I thought they'd stay up.
I think you
and
did.
I got laughed at.
You did.
I think we laughed at you.
You did mention something about
He's got 13, Jack, so unless he gets 15,
Two
mate,
more,
then,
Two more, I believe in you.
But
13 in the league.
Defoe was excellent, but also Fabio Barini was really, really good, and he seems to come alive at this end of the season as well. Like he, in the last few sort of Sunderland escapes, he's been really sort of lively and has given them a lot of energy.
There was
in running.
one fantastic moment. I don't think it was in this game. I think it was in the game before, but the ball got played to Barini and he kicked it at his own face. I don't know if you saw it.
Yes,
I have.
Yeah, he did.
It was a very funny incident. I don't know how he managed it.
And I think that sort of sums those two little moments sum Barini up a bit, because he's a bit goofy the way he plays. Do you know what I mean? In that,
it's a good pen though, great pen. I mean, we could slag him up. It was a really good penalty.
No, it wasn't, and he played really well, and he's always full of running. And I think that goofiness is slightly offset by his ability to work and the quality that he can sometimes.
He's like the anti-Sacco.
Yeah.
At the other end of the pitch.
A player that would rarely get the credit, actually. We talk about Defoe, we talk about Barini, but Lee Catamol I thought had a really good game.
I knew you were going to mention Catamol, yeah.
There's a lot of games that you want a leader to come alive in those sort of games, and Catamol certainly was that, especially this week. I thought... Basically, Sam Allardyce likes a general, doesn't he? And I think a lot of the times Catamol's been criticised for not actually fulfilling that role to the ability that you think he would be able to. But this week, I thought he was great. I really did.
And I think all that on Catamol, I think all that criticism is fully deserved, because he loves a fight, as we know, and a scrap, and that kind of leadership that he showed against Norwich, it just makes you wonder, and the overall performance, it just makes you wonder, like, if he was able to reproduce that week after week and not sort of, you get the feeling that occasionally, and he has that reputation for fouls, although he got his first booking in about 5 or 6 games this weekend, but he does have that reputation for making bad challenges and sort of more the physical side of the game than actually playing. He does have a lot of ability. He is a great leader of the players. And he can be one of those kind of players that can lead by example. And I feel like he doesn't do that nearly as much as he should do for Sunderland. And if he could reproduce that performance when they're not in a relegation fight, when they're playing, for the rest of the games of the season, he could be a really, really even more an important player than he is now for them.
I do feel like Allardyce is really getting the most out of his players. And another player I think was a good example of that was another midfielder, actually, Jan Kirchhoff. I think that's how you'd say his name. He had a fantastic game.
Sunderland fans are raving about him, so he thought they were playing.
I remember him coming on, and I think it was just after he'd signed. I don't know if he signed in January.
Yes.
I feel like he did.
Yeah.
He came on for a game off the bench. I think he gave away a penalty and gave away a mistake for a goal, and people were saying, he's the worst player ever to play in the Premier League, and other really ludicrous stuff. He looked like you're taking a pub footballer and put him on the pitch, but... in this game, he broke down so much play. I don't know the stats, but he seemed to be everywhere in just such a good way. And when I think about the game as a whole, I don't feel like the Sunderland backfield was ever tested that much. There was odd glimpses when Norwich got the ball into the box, but I think the midfield did such a great job. And I actually think that's one of Sunderland's main strengths. They've not got this amazing playmaker in the midfield, but what they do have is some really good rocks in the midfield. And Jermaine Defoe and Barini, who you can ping a ball over and they're going to do something with it. They're going to create space, and all it takes is that one good ball over the top to create a goal.
Yeah, I think.
But that was the strategy, wasn't it? Though, so I don't know if you're going to go into that.
I was going to say that. And Kirchhoff, he's a permanent signing for Sunderland, but Bayern, who they bought him from, do have a buyback clause. I think he does have the ability to play those kinds of direct passes that we see players like Drinkwater do for Sunderland. I think, for Leicester, and. He's, as you say, it was kind of a rocky start to his Sunderland career to begin with, and I think that's difficult.
It came on for Danny Graham. I mean, that's enough to haunt any man.
Yeah, and it's difficult when you're coming into a team that isn't playing, isn't in good form. But he's really started to produce, and him and Catamol have a really good partnership in the middle. And to sort of summarise on that Sunderland thing, I think that as I mentioned at the beginning, they've got the fruit of their labours the last few weeks, really, because I thought they've been playing well for a while. They've been quite unlucky, and I think they look the most likely to stay up out of those three that are fighting for those two spots.
Yeah, well, we'll come on to Newcastle a little bit later on. Just on the way Allardyce approaches a game like that, it's very, to me at least, from a layman point of view, it's very basic. His strategy was, we're going to defend quite deep, we're going to put men behind the ball, and we're going to launch it up like quite high as well towards the Norwich back line, and we're going to let Jermaine Defoe, who's an experienced player at this point, work a little bit of magic, and that's literally what happened. It was bizarre to watch Norwich sort of so obviously be punished for their ability to defend very badly, and I thought for some Allardyce to go quite basic, but to get the results that he wanted, there was almost a bit of a punch-up as well. Did you enjoy the sort of fisty cut?
Yes, because he almost started. It was very early on into the game as well to do a punch-up.
It was amazing because obviously Robbie Brady shoved, I can't think who it was, but I think it was Yedlin. Yedlin, yeah, into the boy. Devlin. I love Devlin. It's DeAndre Yedlin, so we can give you the points for that. Robbie Brady shoves him in, Sunderland bench her up, the Norwich bench her up, the Norwich players are involved, and all that happens is, it's like slow motion, Johnny Howson is pushed further and further into the face of Sam Allardyce, but it's like, you know when you push someone into a fight and they don't want to be in the fight? Johnny Howson had the look of a man that did not want to be in the grill of Sam Allardyce.
He was being pulled into the Allardyce whirlpool, and then he was spat out.
Well, he just has his own gravitational field, so it makes sense.
He's a fine specimen, and afterwards he laughs it off like he's actually been in some sort of street
goes to the chip, he orders his chips, pulls his pose.
Oh, it's a great picture,
and the world is
that picture so much. If you've not seen the picture of a crossed-armed Sam Allardyce, you've not lived. I kind of want to talk about Norwich's signings this year, but we'll do it in another week because we don't want to spend too long on this one. Shall we move forward to the? Let's go across. To Newcastle, shall we? They got a 3. I mean, this is not pre-recorded. A 3-0 victory. 3-0. 3-0.
They scored 3 goals. I'll tell you what, though. I'm trying to think of the guy's name now. The striker, is it the Serbian? Sorry, name is gone. Mitrovic is a game changer for them. I don't know. Rafa Benitez has just kind of come up with the solution that is. Right, Mitrovic, really good player, but he'll probably get sent off in 90 minutes. We'll throw him on after 30 minutes when he's really angry and has a point to prove, and he'll just play amazing. And it's worked for the last 2 games for them, and the last 3 games maybe even.
Mitrovic is a bit. I mean, this might be quite disrespectful to the player, but he's a bit of a sort of modern day Duncan Ferguson, isn't he? Where you sort of
but without the height, so it's weird. It's a bit more mafia,
like a terrier.
you know he's going to sort of flip at some point during the match, and it's just trying to manage that effort from him in the right place.
Essentially, what we're saying is that when Sunderland needed stuff a few years ago, they brought him hard to Canada because he was a bit of a nutcase. Newcastle have got Mitrovic. That when things get a little bit tough and a little bit angry, and they need to get the crowd up a bit. Like the amount of times I've seen Mitrovic wail his arms to the St James Park crowd, be like, "Come on, we're in this together. Come on." He loves it. I think, but he's actually very good. I think that's what we kind of forget. That he comes on, he's got a bit of a temper. He's actually very good.
And he's a young player as well.
Yeah, he came on in that Swansea game. I mean, he's known for his celebration. I think we talked about it at the beginning of the season. But I think he's dropped it for the Premier League, though, weirdly enough. Newcastle said, don't be doing that. If you don't know what I'm referencing, I mean, Google it. Yeah. But yeah, he was brought on and they scored 2 goals, and it sealed the deal against a pretty on-the-beach Swansea team, I think it's fair to say. There's about 4... Do you know what? I don't know if we've been this far into a season or this sort of before the end, but for about 3 weeks there's been about 6 teams on the beach. Swansea are in that category.
Yeah.
Who else is on the beach?
What there except when the FA Cup comes around?
Yeah, Crystal Palace have been on the beach since December, and then realised that it was like, hang on, we need to get off this beach because we're going to go down.
Pardew wanted a bit of winter sun. He wanted a bit of winter sun.
Everton have barely got going. Bournemouth are on the beach, and good for them. Watford have been on the beach ever since they got
Stoke have kind of tried really hard to get a top 6 finish, or top 5 finish. They've just decided it's not worth it, and they've gone to the beach. They've gone to the bar. They've had enough.
We'll talk about it in a minute. But yeah, Stoke have decided now, like at this point, right? Well, this is stupid. What are we do? We're not going to get there. Let's just give it up. We're going to get top 10 probably. We're happy with that. But yeah, they're one of the teams on the beach. So as I say, Swansea didn't care, and the win for Newcastle. I mean, last week when Norwich beat them, or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, we were saying, gone, done, can't get back in it. They're now 2 points.
Newcastle fans were saying that.
Yeah, but the performance they're putting against Norwich, justified at the time. But there was part of me that thought it's a bit early. I mean, like Norwich can still mess this up. Sunderland aren't a million miles away from them. If Sunderland win their game in hand, they'll be on 33, and Newcastle still got a good chance. I think that's the fear for Newcastle, is that Sunderland have got this game in hand, and it continues to exist. And until that game in hand is done, and the position of Sunderland is a lot more manageable for Newcastle, I think there's still going to be that fear.
Newcastle
that it's
have got the game in hand as well.
No, they haven't got it anymore because
they played in the week. And I think that
of course.
So they're now 2 points behind
I don't like this playing 2 games in a week malarkey. It screws up fantasy football because some players are getting way more points because they've got 2 games. It ruins me mentally. Sky Sports are going on about 7 games in 7 days or whatever it is that they go on about. Just don't like it. I like my football on my Saturdays, my Sundays, and sometimes my Mondays. Sorry, I've gone very old-fashioned there. Should we talk about the City game?
All right, Dad.
Are you happy with the short length and the way the ball is now?
Oh, I want the goal a bit bigger.
This goal line technology must be driving you mad.
Mate, mental.
But yeah, okay, so the question is, are Newcastle down, or is there still fighting the old dog, Keno?
See, I was about to mention this when you said comparing Newcastle to Sunderland. I think that you're starting to see the effect that Benitez can have in terms of organising a team. They have been a lot more effective. I just think that Benitez and Allardyce, both very good managers. Allardyce has had control of this team a little bit longer. I think that is crucial because he's had a little bit longer to get his philosophy over to the Sunderland players, and I think that extra bit of time to work with them, well, quite a long bit, a lot longer than Benitez has had, will make all the difference in terms of them being consistent with their results. I worry for Newcastle that they've just made this change maybe a month too late, and Benitez just might not have enough time to get the consistency.
4 games left for Newcastle. They've got Palace and Villa. That's like 6 points right there. That's 2 teams on the beach. Like,
I mean, we're not in the beach.
They've got Liverpool this weekend, which is going to be a big game.
Sorry to stop breaking that, Jack. Aston Villa are not allowed on the beach.
What's happened is they've been told they can't come in like from the shoreline, and the tide's come in, and they've just been.
Gabby's on the beach anyway, but.
He's high on the beach, isn't he?
We can talk about that later.
With his laughing gas.
That's my rant.
We're going to talk about Villa in a minute.
Week.
Obviously. We'll prepare yourself for that, listeners. We'll talk about it briefly then. They obviously played City again midweek and got a point. Well, firstly, City are one of the strangest teams in the league. A lot of talk about Chelsea. I don't understand Man City this season at all. No. Has the Pep Guardiola stuff really caused this much of a problem? Is it that? Because I feel like that's a very easy cop-out thing to say. Or is it
I agree with you.
Pellegrini's... Like, what is it then? I don't understand.
I think the problem in this sort of complacency we see in the league lies with the players. I mean, I don't really blame Pellegrini for failing to sort of set out the team in a proper way. Ultimately, Man City's problem, and always has been in these years that they've failed to retain the title, has not been a problem of skill or tactics. It has been simply effort and motivation, and that ultimately comes down to the players. I mean, they can't get up for matches, and whether they feel that they're too good for the teams that they're playing, and they don't prepare in the right way, and they slack off of these games. Maybe there's something in that. I agree that I think the Guardiola thing's a total cop out. Because you've seen them put in great performances in the Champions League. It's not a case of every result that they've had since he's announced has been poor, or they've looked bad. It is these kind of what you'd call sort of bread and butter league games at home where they consistently underperform, and they have done all season. So that blame for me lies with the players ultimately. Yeah,
I think when you mention complacency, I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a lot of players in that City team that genuinely think they are above some of the teams they play.
Yeah, definitely.
And it affects how they play. And you can use ever since the Guardiola thing, they're still picking professional. Like the season didn't end when Guardiola was announced, and you can see that from their Champions League performances.
The thing is, you get paid to play football no matter who you come against.
I think that the crazy thing is, right, because of the drop off of Chelsea, right, and we saw it last weekend, didn't we? Manchester City, when they want to be, are quite comfortably the best team in this league.
Absolutely.
But not over a 38-game period. They're not. It's bizarre. They actually. It's funny to say, obviously, when you say they're the best team in the league, someone will go, "Oh yeah, well they're not top of the league," but they genuinely are. They are a step above every other team in this league. Hence, in the last 4 of the Champions League. So it must be infuriating as a City fan to watch their league form be so intermittent. It's just
it's
horrendous.
a year.
And again,
it's a year. If you look at the drop off in form from Chelsea, United labouring, Arsenal being Arsenal, it's a year when City could have got a treble quite easily. And they have failed to, or could at least have maybe wrapped up a domestic double and beyond for a treble with their Champions League performances, and they failed to do that. Yeah. And as you say, it must be incredibly frustrating for a fan of the team.
As much as the whole Leicester-Tottenham thing is a distraction for the league, and it's making a lot of clubs look at their management and go, like, is this really what we want? I think it's certainly happened at Arsenal, it's happened at Chelsea, it happened at Liverpool earlier in the season. It's detracted away from some really horrific managerial performances, and as good as Pellegrini has been in the Champions League, the league, as you said earlier, it's bread and butter. This is what they should be doing. This should be the priority every season. The Champions League should be considered a bonus, and it's not good enough, essentially. Jack, is there anything you want to add on this?
Well, I was just going to say, in this game they were lucky because Aguero's goal was offside as well.
Yeah,
so they could have lost this game.
I think.
I think
go on, Jack.
Well, I want to talk one more point about Newcastle, so if you've got anything left to say.
I was going to mention Newcastle in the sense that you've seen in that game, well, we have slagged off City, and it is a game they should have been winning comfortably if you look at the league, that Newcastle, we see what Benitez does for the team, and the ability he has to organise players at very short notice, and to ensure that there's a proper sort of structure in the way they play, especially against better teams. And I think the improvements are there to see. The thing that I worry is that he just hasn't had enough time to get the best out of the players that he has available. I think that will cost Newcastle ultimately in this season.
I just wanted to talk about Jamal Lascelles. Is it Lascelles? They signed him. They signed him from, I think it was Forest in the Championship, and he played a fair bit for them there. I'm not sure if he's played much this year, which is perhaps not the greatest thing to say. I don't feel like he's actually played that many games. He played the last 2 games for them. He's been outstanding at the centre-back position for them. I think he scored against Swansea. Honestly, like, Liverpool are playing, like, obviously Newcastle this weekend. He is the player who I'm going to be keeping an eye on the most. I genuinely think he looks like an absolutely incredible player. He's English. I think he's only like 21, 22. So
there we go.
And I think he could be a difference maker.
Jack, is he on the train, mate?
On the train, on the Eurostar? What do you think?
He could be on the... I don't think... He obviously won't be, but when we were trying to come up with players, for our Euro squad... Do you think he's on the ferry? I mentioned
is he on the ferry?
Like that's ever stopped you, by the way. Well, I don't think he will go on it.
Well, no. The point I was going to make was, when we did our Euro episode, I talked about English, like England needing a young centre-back. And I think I said Joe Gomez, which obviously absolutely stupid suggestion, but the point I was making was there wasn't a player that sprung to mind to play there. I'm pretty sure Lascelles has played for the under-21s. Like, I don't want to say he should be in the squad, and he obviously won't be, but I definitely think he's one to look out for, and he does excite me as a centre-back. And to be fair, centre-backs aren't often that exciting in football.
Well,
no, Ryan Shawcross throws a mean Sabutio party.
I think
I would imagine.
On Lascelles, I mean, the thing that he's obviously most well known for at the moment is not his play. It's the interview that he gave following what was the game they lost prior to the Swansea win.
I thought you were actually going to say he's most known for being in my Salford series for a season and me calling him number 32 because I couldn't pronounce his surname.
I don't watch your Salford series, so I wouldn't know.
That's ruined the tone.
But I mean, the interview that he gave following that loss against who I forget was really frank when he spoke about how they've just not been performing as a team, and the effort was not there. And you feel like that's the kind of interview that one of the big personalities of the dressing room should have given. A captain, a Sissoko, or a Colaccini.
But that's the sort of interview that I think a manager will use and will say, look, this 22-year-old lad is fully aware of the situation.
He's younger than me.
Exactly, which is why it was such an important and admirable thing for such a young player to do. And it could I don't know how much motivation Newcastle have got from that kind of interview, but it's the kind of thing that can really spur players on in a dressing room.
When you realise a player who's just starting his career is like in at the deep end in terms of where his club are.
So they're very aware of the situation and able to call it out like that. Yeah.
I think in the last sort of 10 years we've seen that there's been quite a few of these sort of young players come through who don't seem thick. And I think we quite like that. I think Dele Alli's an argument example. Even Harry Kane has got that about him. I think with Walcott and Oxlade-Chamberlain we saw it as well. That they're just quite nice young lads that are going through playing football, and they're not just thick. And I quite like that.
They're the kind your mum would want to invite round for dinner.
Yeah.
My mum says that about Nathan Redmond. She loves Nathan. Anyway.
What, she's waiting for you and Nathan Redwood to hook up so
Yeah,
she can take you
well.
back to go to your mum's. Well, I think that's an image I think we can all enjoy. Shall we move on to that image of you sat at one end of the table, Mr. Redmond sat at the other end, and your
Come
mum
on,
going,
come on, Redders.
So Nathan, are you looking forward to the season in the Championship? Could you imagine that? It'd be wonderful. No, I think that could be done. Right, should we move on to a different match then? We'll go to the title. The title winners elect, shall we? Champions
according
elect.
to their own manager.
Leicester City 2, West Ham United 2. Oh, wasn't as easy as it might have been.
I've got a shocking confession to make.
Go on.
This game was on at the same time as the Liverpool-Bournemouth game, and I chose to watch this game on my largest screen over the Liverpool game.
Wow.
Well,
I'm allowed to admit that.
Monitors.
I had both open, but I had the sound of the Leicester game in it on full screen.
I thought you were going to say you'd chosen to watch the Bournemouth game, in which case I'd have.
No, don't you worry. I felt a little bit guilty about it. I feel like I've come in, and I just need to repent, basically.
Well, this game, I feel, summed up. Not so much Leicester's season, but I feel as though it was a game that any other team in the league would have lost quite easily. Because I feel that if you really look at if you look at the game, Leicester were outplayed. And for a lot of the game, West Ham did exactly what you need to do against Leicester. They didn't give them too much space to run into. They defended nice and tight. They let Leicester have the ball, and Leicester aren't.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Leicester, for all their qualities, don't break teams down who are sitting back against them very well. They like teams to have the ball, and I feel like they've profited from that for the whole year, because I don't think anyone's really worked that out well enough. And West Ham did everything that they needed to do, and were playing fine. And Cresswell scored an incredible goal. But that was obviously not the story of the game. And Ben, I think you know my sort of thoughts on that. We can get to John Moss in a bit, but what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, it was on Twitter. I was on Twitter, as I am most weekends when the football's on. And Jamie Vardy has dived. Now, if you throw your legs into the defender's legs and go down, that, my friends, is a dive. He's not brought contact there. He's forced contact, which is a different thing altogether. Like, Luis Suarez is the example I would use, because obviously he played for Liverpool and I watched a lot of him, is that he would stand with his back up against the defender, he would move back a bit and it would force the defender to push into him. That is like essentially buying yourself a foul through sort of clever tactical means. Literally throwing your legs, and so you're making a diving position with your body and going down in the penalty area, and then not only is it a foul, by the way, because the ball was nowhere to be seen, so it's a yellow card arguably for the foul. It's not nice to see ever, and I don't like it when Jimmy Vardy then gets found out essentially, and then gives this foul-mouthed tirade to John Moss, who made an excellent decision. In my opinion.
That was a spot-on decision. Yeah, I think Vardy. It was,
and he went on that afternoon, Kino, to make excellent decision after excellent decision.
Well, I wish that could be said.
Can I just on the subject of Vardy's dive? I don't like the term dive for it, because I feel like diving is when contact isn't made. I feel like we need a new term.
Well, simulation.
Now, in basketball, they have flopping, which is when, based off minimal contact or forced contact, you go down to draw a personal foul. Can we just call it flopping? It sounds better.
I think Jamie Vardy's flopped. Yeah, I would completely. Do you know what, Jack? That's a term I can get behind. I think Jamie Vardy.
It's a bit wordy.
I liked it. He flopped it.
We'll start using that now on the podcast. Flopped.
No. Yeah. We can begin there.
Flopper. Jamie Vardy's a flopper. No, I've said it.
Jamie flopping Vardy.
Yeah.
Not Derby.
Who's Derby?
Jamie Vardy's having a flop.
Yeah.
That should be the new one. He's a flopaholic. I mean, I love the word flop. I didn't realise I liked it this much.
I feel like you've just discovered a new love in life.
Sorry. I'm going to be flopping all night.
On to the fantastic decisions.
John Moss was having a flop for most of the...
Well, let's go. I do what we'll do. We'll do them like we're in some sort of committee, right? We will be the FA in this particular... I mean, can you imagine that? Jack on the board of the FA, Jesus. Okay, so Jamie Vardy was sent off for a yellow and then a dive. Was it
correct decision? Correct decision.
Jack?
Yes.
Okay.
I say that through slightly great teeth, because the reason I say it is because I feel like the ref has made that send off to prove a point. I feel like you see a lot of other dives, and a lot of other decisions that aren't given, similar to Vardy's, by contact sport, that aren't given as dives.
That wasn't the only decision he made to prove a point, Jack.
let's talk about that. The penalty kick given to West Ham United for the foul on...
In the area.
I forget who it is
Winston
now.
Reid.
Was it Reid?
It was Winston Reid.
On Winston Reid. Do we think that was a penalty kick? Now, there's something to be said about this. There's a discussion to be had.
So
go on. You go first.
Okay. I will then.
You first, Jack. You first.
Go on, Nathan,
I think it should be a penalty. Now the issue is they're never given in the Premier League, and it's such a tough decision to actually make to define as a foul. That often you'll see referees just kind of avoid the decision. And to be honest, I think that's the best approach to take with these kind of scuffles in the box. They happen every time the ball goes into the area because players have been allowed to get away with it. And until there's a big precedent set at the start of a season when they say, look, if this happens, you will be given away a penalty, you're not going to be able to cut it out. And I feel like in this game, Moss has tried to single-handedly kind of, revolutionise the sport by giving these fouls. Now, the other issue... and that's my thoughts, basically. As I said, I think it could be and probably should be a foul in football, but it isn't, and he shouldn't have given it.
If it becomes one, Jack, Martin Skirtle will retire on the spot.
Well, so will who?
Left for me here. There's nothing left for me within football.
Regarding... I can sort of talk about all three because they're similar. The final penalty he did give for Leicester, which was committed by Carroll, the one which he should have given, which was the foul on Huth. I think it was actually. I think it was Huth being pulled.
I remember Huth looking very angry.
And the penalty that was given for West Ham on Winston Reid. Now the question, the way I sort of see it is, and you hear it get sort of this word sort of bounded around a lot, and it's of consistency. Now, I don't agree when you're talking about consistency in refereeing that every time, for instance, a ball hits a hand in the area, that's a penalty. I don't
think how stupid that is that people even suggest that's a thing.
That's what.
Who was that? Who said that recently?
I think it was Alan Shearer.
But I don't.
Yes, we called him out for being a knob.
But that's just an example. Like that's one of the things that people say when they want consistency of refereeing, or as you say, every time there's a player goes down, there's no contact, it's automatically a dive. I don't agree with that either. But there's consistency across all games like that in terms of the rules, and then there's consistency in refereeing in the individual 90 minutes, right? Now, John Moss, bringing that back to the Leicester game, John Moss had been telling Robert Huth and both sets of centre-halves and other players in the box throughout that game, and you can go back and watch this, he had been constantly warning them about pulling in the box, right? And if... as a referee, you're playing teams that like to do that. Reid and Collins, and obviously Hoof and Morgan, both are pairs of centre-halves who like to get up next to their opponents in the box. They're physical. If you're playing teams, if you're refereeing a game of teams that like to do that, and you want to crack down on it, and you want to say, right, I know you guys like to do this, but I'm going to keep a leash on that this game, and you're going to blow them up for it, and you're going to consistently do that, that is the kind of consistency that I'd like to see, and that's fine, right? And when he first gave that penalty, and when you're talking about what decision was right or wrong, I think the first penalty was right, because he was, after having told Huth many times, Reid goes down, Huth had been on him, fine, a penalty, you've been doing it all game, and I'm going to punish you for it.
Reid played for it a little bit, but yeah, letter of the law, you'd probably say he's obstructed him.
And the thing that made me really angry following this, and this was what I was sort of having a tirade to you while it was happening, was the two decisions after that. Because within the next 10 minutes, as we sort of move through the game, Leicester went up the other end for a corner, and almost an identical thing happened to Robert Huth. I forget the West Ham defender who was on him, but an almost identical thing happened. And Moss, and Moss didn't give that. And Huth went down, and all the fans sort of put their hands up in the air, and there was a big noise, and Moss didn't give it. And there we see the consistency problem, right? Now, that is one issue from John Moss for that game. The second issue was then the penalty that came after that, which he did give. And this is the one I really have an issue with, because I feel that in doing that, he's essentially brought the game into disrepute by what he did there, because it was not a penalty. Do we agree? The one on Carroll? That Carroll gave on, I forget
Well, the Kante one, where he went
do
down.
we agree that?
No, he doesn't really
And
touch
I feel
him,
like
in my
if
book.
you see that 99 times out of 100 in Premier League grounds in the box, I feel like no referee gives that as a penalty.
I mean, how often do you see a player step across another player
Yeah,
and just kind of get a toe
precisely.
on the ball? It happens all the time.
Right, and Carroll is he's an attacker in the box and he'll be a bit clumsy, and the referees often
Why
take
was
that
he
into
in the
account.
box?
It's because they just defended a corner, I think, or it was a
Because he's 6'4". Jack.
yeah, and it was a set piece, and they were all back there, and fine, okay, Carroll's been a bit clumsy, but it wasn't a penalty, and the fact that he gives that penalty to me was so much of a kind of a hint at the fact that he knew he'd got the previous one wrong before. The fans were on his back, the Leicester players were in his face, and he crumbled in giving that, and almost gave it as an evener up, an arbitrary penalty.
No, Keno, you've got this wrong. John Moss would like to be part of the Jamie Vardy / Leicester City film, and this was his attempt to get in that film.
Who would play John Moss? Who would play John Moss in the Leicester?
Adrian Childs.
Making an acting.
Adrian Childs could play John Moss.
I was going to put myself forward. Will they allow that? Can I do that?
I want a Photoshop of Jack's face on John Moss. No.
Jack, I will be your agent when this film is put into production with Danny DeVito playing a role. What film was Danny DeVito I said he was in? I'm lost now. Were we creating a film about Danny DeVito?
Film.
It was the FIFA film.
Oh yeah, Sepp Blatter.
Yeah.
Sepp Blatter, that's right. Okay, Danny DeVito won't be involved. I mean, he could potentially play John Moss. He's quite short, isn't he, John Moss? So
yeah, he
you never
is.
know. But Jack, I will play your agent. Keno, can you? I don't know what role do you want within Jack's acting career? I feel there's plenty of things we could do here. Publicist.
Yeah. Okay.
How would you sell Jack? Right, Keno, bit of role play. Keno, I'll be in charge of the film. Jack, you're going to come in as John Moss, and Keno's just going to give us a quick rundown of what you're prepared to offer us in regards of an acting performance. Right, next, I want you to come in and tell me what Jack can offer the role and what his strengths are.
Okay.
Next.
Hello, I've come here to audition for the Moss role. I think I could suit it quite well.
Okay, great. Let's just hear a little bit from your publicist. Sir, what can your client offer us as Hollywood?
I think you're looking for method actors, and you're looking for those who sort of really throw themselves into the role. I think Jack, in this role of John Moss, could really go and live with referees and find out what it means to be a Premier League referee in a way that no one else
have
could.
a restraining order with Howard Webb, so don't send me with him.
Is he the Johnny Depp of England? Is this what we've been looking for? Is this what Hollywood's missing?
I think he might be, and he brings a level of athleticism to the role that I don't think many else could.
And passion.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Jack, we'd like you to act out the decision of him giving the penalty the red card to Jamie Vardy. I will play Jamie Vardy in this situation. Right.
I expect to hear the sound of you hitting the ground as you've dived in.
Yeah.
I've slipped out of roll there. Sorry, I'll go back and roll.
Quiet on set. Keno, can you do some action for us, please?
Sorry?
Can you say action, Keno?
Action.
Oh, I'm down. This is your moment.
That's my whistle. I'm not going to whistle into our mic.
Yep,
right,
fine,
Jamie,
Ref,
come here, mate.
referee.
Mate,
Come on,
Jamie.
ref.
You can see where my hand's pointing to Jamie.
Beep.
You've dived there. You've
Beep.
bought contact.
Beep.
You've flopped.
Beep.
You flopped.
Beep.
You flopped. You're not having a party.
You're
You're
a
going
beep.
to sit on the
Beep,
naughty
beep.
step. There is no goodie
Bloody
bag for
beep.
you. No
Beep,
pass the
beep,
parcel. No musical chairs. Here's your second yellow. Get off, son.
Beep.
See.
You're not invited to my party. End scene. There we go. Thank you. I reckon you could do it, Jack. Keno, thoughts?
Yeah, good. If any, I mean, he's ready.
Yeah, good.
He's ready.
I'm ready. I don't even need any acting.
Come into a
I'm
cinema.
pretty much speechless. I don't know what to say.
Come into a cinema.
I think the listeners will be as well. People. Someone tweeted in just before the podcast saying he likes to listen to it while he's running. Right? He'll have just listened to that, and he'll have stopped still. He'll have stopped his running, and he won't really know what to do.
It'd have had to stop because probably to applaud, Jack. If I'm honest, probably to applaud.
I mean,
top notch. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what you said. For the benefit of the editing, I just thought I'd say bleep rather than actual swear words because I figured it would be more appropriate.
I
for
mean,
James
you've
Vardy.
done a great
Jack,
job
if you
there.
can get a little bit of
Thank you.
elevator music as well and put that underneath that role play, I think that would make
Yeah,
it.
I mean, don't expect it.
No, it's too much. I'm an
so
actor, not an
essentially-
editor.
Essentially, what we're getting at is that Leicester still favourites.
I do know a good editor, though.
I think
Or is it a good one? Still favourites?
I think that point was huge for Leicester, and I think that although Tottenham have now reeled it into 5 points, and we'll talk about them in a second, they're running out of games, and while Spurs, personally, I think Spurs probably are the more complete team and deserve to win the league on those grounds, but Leicester have got those key decisions and key results.
I just want Spurs to win the league because I said in January that they'd win the league and Arsenal would finish fifth.
Well, I mean, I've been beating the Spurs drum, as we know, for probably since October or so. So I'd take the credit.
Yeah, I think Harry Kane should be captain of England. So
anyway, should we move on to the Tottenham game? There's one moment in this game that sticks out for me.
Go on.
And it's the Dele Alli miss, because at that point I realised he is human. It was a great miss.
He is English, you mean?
I mean, don't do that at the Euros, Dele.
Well, he's got it out of his system now. That's the thing.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? If you haven't seen he was on
He
cloud
did
nine.
Germany as well.
He was on cloud. He had scored 2 at that point, hadn't he, with the miss, or had he only scored the 1? Either way, he was playing with confidence and swagger, and he just kind of lost his balance and fell over as he kicked it, and it went wide. But it was such a bad miss.
He was playing with confidence and swagger, and he turned into Mick Jagger, and he missed it.
He did a very similar thing in his other...
I think Mick would have scored it, to be fair.
I think that was one of Ali's best games for Spurs this season. And another of his best games this season in the England game, he did a similar thing where he missed a very easy chance.
I felt like Dele Alli. He had this confidence and swagger about him in this game.
You just said that.
He didn't. Well, no, I'm going to elaborate now because he didn't look with Stoke.
Which one must have scored it?
Well, I don't know, mate. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an actor to play Dele Alli. That's all I'm going to say. But I feel
Jack
like
can't reprise roles that quickly.
I feel like in this game he didn't, like the whole Spurs team really. They didn't show Stoke a lot of respect. They just kind of tore them to pieces, and it was such a confident performance by Spurs. And I feel like Spurs can still win the league. I hope that it goes down to the final day because I think there's a risk that Leicester win it, and I feel like it'd make a boring end to the film.
And
they'd have to milk the Moss incident for the film.
And part of me doesn't want to see. I'm in a bit of a dilemma here regarding Leicester and Spurs because I do think that Spurs are the better team, but part of me just I can't. It would be awful to see Leicester choke the league after the season that they've had now.
Or I mean, can you imagine watching a team bottle it with only a few games left? An
improbable title run in the end of the season. They're 5 points clear with 3 games to go, and it all goes horribly wrong.
It would never happen. It's never happened. This is Hollywood stuff. It's fiction. This is a fiction. Stop this, please. Please stop this.
Vardy will say we won't let this flop, and then they flop the next game.
On Spurs quickly, if we want to.
Don't let it. Sorry, I think we should give credit to Jeff for saying, but he'll go, we don't let this flop, which I think is very good. And I appreciate the reference of Gerrard there within it. So well done, Jack.
Thank you. Here all week.
Yeah, okay. Any more to say on Tottenham?
I think just Spurs are in the same way that if we're sort of comparing them to another good Latin American manager, Spurs are in Pochettino's image in the same way that someone like Atletico are in Simeone's image. Like they are so hungry, so athletic, and it's just great to watch. Every game they give 100%.
Stoke on the beach.
They are.
So who cares, mate? Who cares on the beach? Another team on the beach. It was the Merseyside derby, and it's the last game we're going to talk about today. It was Liverpool 4.
43 shots in the game too.
I couldn't believe that stat when I saw it. I could not believe it.
Everton 0. Now, I'm going to give some credit here. For those of you that watch the Redmen TV, you may have seen this, but the Redmen TV had the equivalent Leicester Everton fan site, blue colours, that's why. Everton fan site on their show, who pre-game, like going into a Merseyside derby, right, every time I'm thinking, do you know what, it's going to be pretty tough. You look at Lukaku, you think decent player. They've got lots of players there that you think on their day are some of the better players in the Premier League, arguably. You look at players like Morales, if he has a good game. James McCarthy's pretty hotly rated, isn't he? John Stones, of course, at the back. And I'm worried that Liverpool will go on this sort of nice little run and then it will all come crashing down in the Merseyside derby. But I listened to them talk about it, and in essence, they predicted exactly what would happen. They said, you'll win because we don't run. And he was absolutely right. Everton don't run. And he said, like, if we get the ball back, it's because it'll either be a goal kick or a throw-in.
And I've got a great fact.
It was a lot of times that was true. It was bizarre.
This fact is going to make your day. Lukaku, in the last 60 minutes of the game, made 7 passes. 4 of them were kickoffs. There's your fact of the day. That's a great fact. I mean, he literally did nothing.
Did you see the rumour of him having been shown round Dortmund this week?
No, but that's a very funny rumour.
I don't know if that's true, but apparently he was on a Dortmund stadium tour. I don't know if he was being.
I've got this image of him, like, with a hat on, trying to really look conspicuous.
I think he was just, an enthusiast, just going to see one of the great stadiums of Europe. To be honest,
he's an enthusiast, but they had to pay 27 million to allow him to get there.
This for me is a really weird game because the Merseyside derby, behind perhaps the derby against United, is like the biggest game of the season for any Liverpool fan. It's the game that you look forward to.
You put that behind the United game.
Again, behind United, easy. There's more of a hatred, I think, between United and Liverpool fans than the Everton. I feel like the Everton, because the teams they've not been competitive with one another really since that 1 year when it's like, can Everton get the top 4? Like, it doesn't have that fire to it and that flair, whereas I feel like there's so much history. But anyway, with this game, as I said, this is the game that I get excited about. Excuse me. And the fact is,
how exciting!
I'm dying here. Okay? I can die a happy man after this game. But it's almost because it was so one-sided. It was just a bit.
You didn't do that when you were being John Moss.
I mean, the issue is, it's just one of those games where we've won it so comfortably. You kind of just shrug your shoulders and go, "Well, it wasn't really that." It didn't feel like we really fought for the win. I mean, it felt like a derby, I guess, because Funes Mori decided to put his own stamp of South American flair on the game, quite literally. On Origi's out.
The ankle of Divock Origi.
He's now out.
Have you seen what's going on Twitter about Origi recently? I absolutely love this.
No, please indulge me.
Obviously, you need to have a nickname for footballers these days, right? So they're calling him, like, the phrase that's going round is, "Can you smell what Divock is cooking?" It's amazing, isn't it?
I mean, it's better than anything else I could come up with. It's like the Norwich fans thinking, "Fuck off, Jamie Vardy, Mbukani's having a party." Because what the hell do you fit Mbukani in? I mean, it doesn't really work now because Leicester are top of the league and Norwich are going to go down. But it's the only thing they could get to ride, I guess. So.
Party.
But there you go.
Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it? Overall, though, I thought on the game, Everton are pretty horrific in a week that they've got a Wembley trip and a chance at an FA Cup final. It wasn't ideal preparation, was it? And on the flip side, more and more, game by game, you can see Liverpool developing a Jurgen Klopp style of play.
Certainly.
And it's becoming... I guess my reaction would be, my God, this is good. And like every game though at the moment, and I'm loving it. Even when even the Dortmund game when it was hard, it was like
we haven't talked about the Dortmund game. Can we talk about it? Because it was the podcast went up the day of we recorded the day of the Dortmund game, but before the match. What a game! I said
Liverpool would win, so technically I was right. So
I mean, Sacco in the last month has been a revelation. Really, since Klopp came in, I feel like Sacco's looked like the centre-back Liverpool have been lacking for a while. He's now getting goals.
And Lovren, though.
Lovren has, actually.
Give credit to Lovren as well. Yeah. Lovren and Sacco. I said at the start of the season I would love to see Lovren and Sacco become the partnership. And they've become the partnership. And, like, there's other areas of the team which aren't looking great, but the partnership's there now. It's solid. John Matip's coming in. Where does he fit in with Lovren being one of the best defenders in Europe?
Busquets half-back role.
Oh, no.
There you go. Stick him in as a kind of defensive midfielder. To be fair, Liverpool don't have a defensive midfielder. And don't tell me Lucas. One of my favourite things, actually, in this game was Lucas's shot. I think it was when Liverpool were 4-0 up, and it's just like, well, we'll give it to Lucas 30 yards out, just let him have a shot. And it just goes wide. And it was like, after this really...
It was just 37. I mean, everyone had a go.
3 times.
It was a really weird game, just because it was like... It was like watching a training session. It was like watching an FA Cup game where a Premier League team rolls up to like a League 2 team and just rolls them for 90 minutes.
What do you think the problem is with Everton then? I mean,
no ambition going forward.
Well, it's Martinez. Martinez is the problem, and the reason. I mean, let's talk seriously for a moment then. Martinez is the problem because if you look at the West Ham team and you look at the Everton team, there is a strong case to be made. If you did that at the start of the season, you would easily say, because we didn't know how good Dimitri Payet was going to be, remember, you could easily say Everton's team is better. Everton should be top 7. They should, with the squad they've got, they should be top 7. Yes, they've had some injuries, but they've got some really, really good footballers within that team. Ross Barkley, when he's in a confident Everton team, is one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. Can he do it sustainably over a season? No, he can't, because Everton can't at the moment. Roberto Martinez has been given money to spend in his tenure at Everton. He's had a couple of years now to embed his philosophy, and it's like he's taken the defensive capabilities from Wigan and installed them at Everton. And I'll tell you now, the defensive capabilities, I think it was 120 goals or 140 goals in 3 seasons conceded by Wigan. It's not good at all at Everton, and something has to be done. And I think they want him out.
I think he'll be the first manager to go after the season finishes. I think the one thing about Martinez is he's a bit like a politician. Like in all the post-match press conferences, he'll come out and be like, "Oh, I think we were unlucky. You know, we had some nice passing play. The just last ball, the quality wasn't there." And you go and look at the game, it's like, mate, you had 3 shots all game.
I think
none were on target.
I think we slagged Alan Shearer off earlier, but he said a very good point about Martinez, is that Everton could have lost to 3-0. You know, they could have been absolutely battered and had no chance to win the games. Take this game, for instance. And if you'd not seen the game and you'd listened to Roberto Martinez in a post-match interview, even if they'd played awfully, you'd think, oh, Everton were unlucky. You know, they played all right, and it's he can pull out the sort of that he can hoodwink you into thinking that Everton were excellent when actually they weren't. And I think that sort of spell is starting to wear off a little bit. People have seen through that sort of facade, and I think his defensive frailties as a manager, I think it's similar to Wenger in how stubborn he is in his philosophy. I don't think he's willing to change in order to get the results he needs.
The worrying thing for Everton fans is if he wins the FA Cup, it's probably considered a half-successful season, and he might even get longer.
Yeah.
That's got to be the concern at this point. In some ways, I don't want to say you want your team to lose. Now, I wonder if United fans are thinking the same thing. I wonder if this FA Cup semi-final this weekend is going to be the game of teams whose fans don't really want their managers to win the trophy because they don't want them to stay around.
Essentially, Jack, Palace, Everton and United are all hoping Watford win this.
It is annoying.
Gives them all reasons to sell their manager.
It's bad, really, that we've had the draw as it is, because it would be quite nice to see a Watford and Palace final, I think, because both those teams would probably...
You say that, okay. I saw a stat today. I'm going to try and pull it up now. I think there's been 4 goals scored between the 2 team strikers since, like, Christmas. I think Adebayor has one. Yeah. Deeney might have one. And then Igalo has one, and that's it.
But both teams would want the win, and I think that would be sort of good. I mean, you talk about United and Everton. I think both of those managers, whoever wins that, and obviously Van Gaal probably won't stay, but winning a trophy in his time at United could be the difference. I mean, both those managers, it's a huge game for them in terms of their legacy at the 2 clubs. And if Martinez wins it, then he could maybe have a chance to write more of his legacy at Everton. If Van Gaal wins it, he could probably have a chance to at least sort of say he took a trophy in his time as United manager. So it's an important game, but like you say, it's one that probably both sets of fans won't want their teams to win in that sort of regard. Obviously, you always want your team to win, but... Yeah, so I guess looking ahead, Everton play United and, as you say, Palace play Watford. Who do we think is more likely to win either of those games? I mean, I'll allocate a game to each of you. Keno, out of Watford and Palace, I think it's funny because Palace, although their league form has been awful, they've actually been playing pretty well in the FA Cup. They've been scoring goals, and that, while they were searching for their first win of 2016, the FA Cup was sort of their respite. And on their FA Cup form, you'd probably say that they look better than Watford and they'd be favourites. And I think also if you compare squads on paper and at first 11s that both managers are liable to put out, I would side with Palace again for that. Obviously, they've just turned the corner, they've got their win, so I think their confidence will be slightly higher. So I am going to go with Palace, and part of me would slightly like to see them get it. Not so much for Pardew, but because Palace not so long ago were in dire straits in the Premier League. They looked like they were about to go down. They've made some very good decisions on the board level, and now they could win a trophy, and they've solidified themselves. So I think it would be quite a nice thing for them to win.
So it'll be Palace versus who, Jack?
Well, all I'm going to say is it's a good job that football isn't like Quidditch, and that we have penalties, and that the game doesn't. No, hear me out here. Okay,
it's
a good job. If you don't know the rules of Quidditch, the game doesn't end until the snitch is captured. It's a good job.
Are we still doing a football podcast?
Yeah, let me get to my point. Let me get to my point.
I can't. Yeah, you can get to your point in a minute. You come with lines of, right, if you compare football to Quidditch in a very serious manner, and then you follow that up with, look, if you don't know the rules of Quidditch, allow me.
Okay. So in Quidditch, you have to catch the snitch to win. Now, in football, if football was played, so there's no penalties, and it's just golden goal forever, this game would finish 0-0. No one would win. Based on the fact we do have penalties, I mean, it's a toss-up. I think it's actually going to finish 0-0, and because it's not Quidditch, United are going to win on penalties.
So if it was Quidditch, Everton would have a VAR.
I mean, maybe
My
they would.
goodness
They maybe
me.
would. They maybe would.
Listen to this, man.
I don't know what to do. Right, hang on. If you compare football to Quidditch, what? A minute.
Who would be?
dear
Who would
me.
be?
It's a fantastic-
Who would be?
Did
the
you know?
Beatles?
Okay, hear me out. I know this is a football podcast.
Oh,
Did you know there is
no,
actually
no.
a real life Quidditch World Cup where people like, stick a broom between their legs and run around playing the game of Quidditch in real life?
There is-
and
there
there are like
is- there is
serious teams
actually
that
a
represent
way.
all the different cities.
There is a way.
Which team do you play
Who do you
for?
play for,
Rome.
Jack, if you were trying to sort of shoehorn Everton and Man United teams into a Quidditch team, who would be the seeker for each team? Do you think?
The Seeker.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's a great question.
Who do you
We
think
should
it
leave
might
that to
be?
the viewers as
I
well.
mean,
Like, who would be
I-
your professional footballer seeker? Who has to be the nimble one?
Oh, yeah,
Joe Allen would be
other
Liverpool
positions
seeker.
as well. Well, I would say Rashford for United because he's got that sort of Harry Potter quality, young kid, quite nimble. For Everton, I'm not quite sure.
Harry
Harry Potter, that known gymnast.
Yeah, you've got to be pretty quick on your feet, broom.
What do you mean? I'm so confused. Joe Allen would be Liverpool's snitch. What's he called, Jack? What's that position called?
The Seeker. The snitch is the thing they catch that's golden as wings.
No, but what's the position? What's
seeker.
the position called?
The Seeker. is
Seeker. Sorry. So yeah, he'd be the seeker. Sorry, yeah, seeker. Snitch and seeker.
And
And
then
then you have the two guys who deal with the bludgeon. Is it the bludgeon? Is that the name of the ball? The big one?
We're not doing this. We're just doing seeker. Seeker
Oh,
was enough.
okay. Okay.
Okay, Kino, who would be Villa's seeker?
No.
Which fan would be Villa's seeker?
So
Be one of the 18 Aston Villa kids.
I mean, speaking of seeker, the Villa fans have been playing hide and seeker recently.
Well, I would.
Disgusted. I mean, Kino, we're an hour 15 in. Let's just get off Quidditch and talk about.
If football
the
was
situation
Quidditch,
with-
maybe Villa would stay up.
I don't know. Relegated Aston Villa, Kino. I mean, in a serious point, give us your thoughts. I mean, we're quite long into the podcast here, but as a Villa fan, it's the first time you'll have seen Villa outside of the Premier League, and
It's the first
what are your
time a
overall
whole
thoughts on this week? It's
generation
been
of fans will have seen Villa out the top
indeed,
flight.
indeed,
It's been
it's been a testing week for Villa fans, I think. And Lerner obviously put out the statement today, but what are your thoughts on everything?
well, it's been 30 years, almost exactly. I think 30 years since Villa have been relegated from the top flight, and as you say, this week has been one of the more eventful off the pitch I think I can remember, probably since Martin O'Neill walks out 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, and I said this to you the other day when all the things were kicking off. Obviously Mervyn King and David Bernstein resigned after only a few weeks in the role of the football board. I'm not really sure as to whether this is a good or bad week, because I feel like it's got so bad off the pitch that many of these players that may have somehow stuck around on big money will not be here. Gabby Ogbonhor, one of them, whose actions are grounds for sacking. And I heard on the radio that we can't sack him from a lawyer who deals in these sort of tribunals. We wouldn't be able to get rid of him. But in any other job, in any other walk of life, his behaviour would be...
We'll do some laughing gas at work next week and see what they say.
Yeah, it'd be equal to about 3 or 4 sackings, because he's done it again and again, and it's just disgraceful to see a player who's given so much to in earlier years at the club and has had such a good relationship to sort of capitulate as he has off the pitch in the last sort of 6 months or so. And really, he's been going that way for a while, and it's so negligent what he's done. I mean, to sort of quickly go over, I mean, after every loss pretty much of the last month, he's been out on the lash right after the games. He went to Dubai.
Well, there isn't a beach near Villa, is there? So
no, and he's managed to get there in the international break. Was off in Dubai, came back a few hours before training on a red-eye flight from Dubai, turned up. And it's those kind of things that he's just been repeated doing, and like I say, that's been but one of the things that's gone on at the club. Obviously, Mervyn King and David Bernstein resigned, citing their differences with Randy Lerner, who released a statement today, and I think this is probably the most interesting of the things going forward, because he's taken responsibility for the relegation, which I think that's where you'd point fingers.
Can I ask you a question?
Why has he released a statement, or why?
Both. Why would he? Why
why
would he
now
choose
as well? Like, you're down.
Yeah, why would he choose now to do this?
It's a great question, and I think that this week leaves more questions than answers for Villa fans because, at one hand, the club are releasing statements saying that Steve Hollis, the chairman, is in advanced sort of talks regarding the sale of the club, and apparently there are a number of parties that are interested.
Is that official now? You are actually in talks with people to sell the club?
So that's been hearing for so long.
It hasn't been released as a statement by the club, but my understanding is
ForTheFans exclusive.
My understanding is from people that sources online that I do sort of tend to get these things right, is that there are about 3 potential buyers of the club.
Okay.
One of
Any
which,
names?
well, no, I don't have names, but one of which is a
Danny DeVito?
yeah, one of which is maybe some Hollywood casting agents as well. Just
Yeah, Nicholas Anelka. I think you might be.
Peter Crouch.
Moss is in there.
There's
Jamie Vardy wants a full-on party.
I mean,
Yeah.
probably better than Gabby. These sort of,
Anything but a party. So, just quickly on the Lerner statement, though, Kino.
Yeah.
I think you kind of confirmed that, yes, the club are looking to sell. Does the statement out today, in which he kind of takes responsibility for the failings, how has that gone down with Villa fans? Because I don't know. This is the first time I spoke to you today, actually. How has that statement gone down with the Villa?
From what I've read, it's almost just par for the course. It's the bare minimum of what he should have been doing, and really, it's not. The thing with Randy Lerner is he has been almost solely responsible for the downfall of the club in the last 6 years. But I don't think he's not one of the owners that sort of doesn't care.
It's not quite Mike Ashley, is it?
No, and it's not. He's not an unpleasant guy, and he has good intentions. The problem is that every decision, pretty much, almost every decision he's made in his running of the club has been wrong. Every one. And he has one more decision to make in his tenure as owner, and that is to hopefully hand us over to someone who does have the interest of the club at heart, does understand what it means to the fans, and is able to make sort of good calls on things. That is the one thing he has.
Have money.
So it's essentially with Randy Lerner, from what I'm gathering, it's incompetence and not malice.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not his evil intention to ruin Aston Villa. It's just his incompetence to run
It's
Aston
like elderly
Villa
drivers.
this.
Yeah, and I think
It's like trying to get professional footballers to play Quidditch.
and I think he realised that a couple of years ago, where we've been up for sale for almost 2 years now, like officially up for sale. As I was just sort of mentioning, there's 3 parties that look to be interested, 2 of which are private owners, so individuals. One is from America, the other is from China, and the other is a Midlands-based consortium of parties. I'm not sure if that's headed up by someone who might be close to the club, and I don't have names, but that there are 3 known parties are in advanced sort of talks, by all of which are offering the same amount.
Told me anything. You just need a sugar daddy.
All of which are offering the same amount.
Is there a rumoured number, Keenan? You say an amount. Is there a number?
I think it's around 100 million, which is what I've sort of been reading. Okay. And Lerner obviously is pretty much in the last few weeks halved his asking price for the club. It was around 200, and now it's 100.
We talked about this. I think it was a few days ago that I said that Villa are going to be at their cheapest right now, arguably.
Yeah.
This is the cheapest Aston Villa will be, because if they have a good season, like for example, if you sold up sort of March next year and you're in a top 2 position in the Championship, it looks a lot more promising than being bottom of the Premier League, somewhat adrift. So I think this point right now, before the end of the season, before you can sort of bring anyone else in, is where it's at its cheapest. And we talked about it, that Lerner will make potentially a profit on the overall sale, but will have made a significant loss long term. And obviously he's now just wanting to get rid. And
going forward, as a sort of uncertain, very worried Villa fan, I just hope that this decision he is able to sort of get right, because it's very worrying the way that Mervyn King and Bernstein have resigned in the letters. I mean, you've seen the letters. I showed you them after they came out. They're very. And I would, if anyone's interested in this, you should go and read them online, because it's very interesting that their differences and their problems with Lerner are sort of clear from those letters. And I hope that in alienating them and forcing them to leave, he hasn't screwed up that final decision that he needs to get right. It's a pretty uncertain time as a Villa fan, but hopefully things go well.
I mean, at least you're not Portsmouth yet.
No, yeah.
Yes, well, Charlie Hadfield, you asked that a question on Twitter. You essentially said thoughts on the Randy Lerner statement. I feel like Keenan's given quite a lot.
Is that a good enough answer for you? I think that's.
I think that was a pretty good answer.
It's from the heart as well. That's the most said I've ever heard you, Keenan.
Yeah.
Shall we? No, I've heard him worse. We won't talk about it now. Where, I mean, you should see Wes play clubs sometimes. He's livid. Shall we take a few other questions?
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to lead on the Ben? Or?
Well, there's a few questions about the PFA team of the season. I think we'll talk about that when the individual awards are given out, and we'll talk about that as a whole thing.
Yes, because they've released.
I think generally speaking, to answer it briefly, we agree with we pretty much agree with it.
I think it's one of the easiest PFA teams of the year to actually. It kind of just picks itself. I think for the most part, I don't think there's many.
Yeah, I agree.
Contentious players in there
because there's only been two really standout teams that have bucked the trend in the league this year. Obviously, Leicester and Tottenham, and that most of their players fill that. So.
I was going to say they dominate the team, so it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I think Leicester have got 4 players in it, which is, in many respects, it's great, isn't it? That you've got a Leicester team with 4 players in the team of the year. Few other questions. I guess a lot of the questions are how we think Leicester will get on next year. It's the kind of thing we'll talk about in a preview
We'll deal
show.
With that later, for sure.
We got a question from, I think it's you either say Yasin or Hassan, I'm not sure. Either way, my man, you've asked, what do you expect from the last couple of games of La Liga? Who's going to win it? La Liga is hotting up. I mean, we'll talk briefly on it. We kind of referenced teams in the Champions League in recent weeks. Who do we see taking it? It's
Atletico,
really getting tight.
I really hope Atletico win it.
It's hotting up from a sort of neutral perspective. If you're a Barcelona player or fan or anyone involved in the club, it should not be hotting up at all. Because
I know.
As of 3 weeks ago, they were totally in control and 10 points clear, and they've managed to sort of to cock it up.
But it's good though. You want to see that league competitive.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it gets a lot of shit for not being competitive. When in fact, actually, it's one of the most competitive leagues. But I actually hate that. We don't talk about that ever really, but it does annoy me. This idea that La Liga is not competitive because it's the same few teams up there all the time. That makes it extraordinarily competitive between those teams.
Yeah,
like they can't afford week on week to drop points. And we talk about PSG having sort of this comfort factor of having to try now. But that's not competitive. But the La Liga is one of the most competitive leagues, and the more teams that get up there alongside Madrid and Barca, like 5 or 6 years ago, you wouldn't have said Atletico. Would you?
You would have said Deportivo La Coruña. Maybe that was more like 20 years ago. Can I just say, on Barcelona, have you seen their new plans for their stadium?
Yes.
It looks incredible.
They want to expand the capacity of the new camp. I think they're going to be. Are they renaming it the new camp if it gets approved, or is it still going to be called the new camp? And the whole project's called the new camp because that's getting very. They should just call it the new camp. That would be the way to go. But they're expanding it to
new camp.
They're expanding it to 106,000 all-seater if it gets approved. It looks absolutely insane. Like if you've not seen it. They've got some really nice flashy graphics and videos like showing how they plan to do the development because they don't want to close the stadium whilst it's all going on.
Can I say something a little bit controversial?
Go on then.
They're making it look a little bit like the Bernabeu. A little bit.
The bigger.
And I wonder if that will have crossed their minds while sort of
having a bigger Bernabeu. Yeah. You do wonder, don't you? You do wonder, especially with those clubs.
Yeah.
Who do you think will win it then, Keno? I think Barca will still wrap it, but I mean, it's getting interesting.
There's 1 point in between the 3 teams. I mean, it could go either way. It's very difficult. I feel as though now, but Atletico and Real Madrid are focusing on the Champions League. I think that might give Barcelona the edge in the run-in.
Can I just one more touch then? You think Barca as well? You think Atletico might just snatch in there?
I've got faith in my boys.
Okay, good. No, I like it. I like the suggestion. We'll talk again. We might talk about this more towards the end of the season if we have a little look around the leagues. But because they're out of the Champions League, it's unlikely we'll touch on Barcelona again unless they obviously win the Liga. Luis Suarez is having an absolutely incredible season by regular football standards. By Messi and Ronaldo standards, he's having like a pretty average season.
Well, he's outperforming Messi. In the team.
Well, that's what I mean, though. Luis Suarez has 30 goals in La Liga alone. He's got 49 overall. And if you tot that up with his assists this season, he's got 21 assists and 49 goals. It's like, I mean, World Player of the Year next year?
I feel
got to be in there.
For sure.
Got to be in there.
I just wanted to
the only way he
back
doesn't get
to
it is if
Liverpool.
Portugal win the Euros.
I just wanted to come back,
man. But you know what I mean, though? The debate is always, Messi or Ronaldo. This season, Luis Suarez is the guy, and I'm not just saying that he's a former Liverpool player. He genuinely is absolutely ridiculous. This week,
Messi, of course,
he got 4 goals and 3 assists.
Messi, of course,
imagine
we
could have beaten Everton 20-0.
Yeah, no, don't, Jack, don't do this. Not now.
Sorry, I'm tearing up a little bit.
essentially, shout out to Luis Suarez. Two of us think Barca, one of us thinks Atletico. Any more questions? Again, a few of these are about like Leicester and whatnot. What needs to change within Arsenal to remove the complacency of the club for third or fourth place?
How long have we got?
It's a bit of a let's just get rid of Wenger and see what we can do after that, isn't it? It's one of those, I think. Agreed?
I feel like with Wenger, the only way they're going to get rid of him is with like a mutiny. Like they need to throw him overboard. Because I don't think he's ever going to leave of his own kind of accord.
No,
it's just
you're
a
right.
problem.
Right, I think that's going to wrap us up then. It's been, again a 90-minute show. Obviously, we recorded one sort of covering more like, I don't know, what is it, 12 days this time? If you've enjoyed it on the YouTubes and you've got to this point, please leave a like. If you're listening on iTunes, do leave a review. We do appreciate it. 5 stars. I mean, nothing less than that, surely. Keno, Jack and I are all on Twitter. You can find us by our own Twitter at ForTheFansShow, ForTheFansShow.com. And we've made a decision as well that we will be on SoundCloud, but next season. We are going to do it. But we figure with only a few games to go, we may well do it for the Euros.
I think it might be quite a good idea to trial it in the Euros, and see the demand.
Yeah, but there will. I mean, are we confirming that now? There will be shows throughout the Euros, but we'll talk about more.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
You will find out the schedule in due course.
I mean, we don't know the schedule. We make it sound like we have a plan.
I know the schedule. I have a plan. I've just not told you it yet.
Excellent.
Right then, we'll talk about that in a minute. That brings us to the end then of this week's For The Fans Show. As I say, all our links will be in the description of the YouTube video or available elsewhere. For The Fans Show, for everything you need. From me, Jack and Callum, say goodbye, boys, at the same time. 3, 2, 1.
Goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
That'll do.
Please,
Right.
I say
I've been up to Benji. Until next time, we love with care. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye. Why the fuck did you stop talking about Quidditch?
Don't be a snitch.
Ah.